What's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday. I have to tell you all up top, John is a very good sport because if you saw our headline, you know it's a topic that they discussed on the show yesterday, but I was like, John, cannot miss this. I have to talk.
It's kind of like I was thinking about this earlier, and I was like, it's fair that Perri wants to talk about Jurassic World. This is kind of like if the trailer for Fede Alvarez's Alien movie came out and you and Steve talked about it without including me in that conversation, I would be a little upset. Like, Jurassic Park, one of your favorite movies. It is like the favorite movie, right?
Jurassic Park is my favorite movie of all time.
That's right. I'm always like, is it Scream or is it Jurassic Park? I can't remember.
So this is why it gets confusing. Jurassic Park is my favorite movie of all time. Scream is my second favorite movie of all time. But Scream is my favorite franchise of all time, and Jurassic is my second favorite franchise of all time.
That is, yeah, that's a little wonky.
One has become a bit more consistent than the other, which I guess we can just get into it right now. So the reason why we brought up the Jurassic franchise yesterday and why we're talking about it again today is because there's reports out there saying that David Leitch is the one who is in talks to direct Jurassic World 4, which is a pretty big deal. So when it comes to David Leitch's body of work, I think it is abundantly clear that he is a very talented director. And I think that many movies out there would be lucky to have him. Clearly, there's a little disappointment in my voice. I can't hide it. And I'll admit it has nothing to do with his skill set or qualifications, and more so what I was hoping that Universal would do with the franchise going forward, which is tell smaller, more intimate stories. But if you look at David Leitch's body of work, them looking at him to direct the movie, to me, signals the opposite. It signals that the Jurassic World franchise will continue the way it had been before, like big, shiny, blockbuster movies. And I had my fingers crossed that what they were going to do with the continuation of the franchise is lean a little more in the direction of, let's say, a short like Battle at Big Rock, where it is, what is life like when we have to share the world alongside dinosaurs, more intimate stories, maybe not a bajillion dinosaurs in the movie, which I know everybody out there wants to a degree, but, something a little smaller scale. And then also turning it into an opportunity for an up-and-coming director to really soar also. So when the news broke that David Leitch was being eyed to direct the movie, I can't say it upped my enthusiasm for the film, but admittedly, and I do this with every single movie, no matter how passionate I am about a franchise, I understand we're all human beings and we all have wants when it comes to a popular property that we're very attached to. But if Leitch does sign on the dotted line and gets confirmed to direct the movie, of course, I am going to stay open-minded, assess the movie for the movie that he wants to make, for the movie that the team behind the film wants to make, and I will have to remove my hopes for where they're going to take the franchise out of the equation and, maybe back pocket them in the future. But I will be open-minded if this is the direction things are going.
See, the question that I have for you, though, is does having David Koepp doing the writing help at all with your enthusiasm?
It could help. I mean, yeah, obviously I was thrilled when that news broke too, but until I actually learn more about what they're doing with the story, I think that it's hard for that to really up my enthusiasm. It's challenging with big franchises, and I think even though I love Jurassic, I think in recent years, more so than any, we have seen a lot of big budget, big money-making film franchises, I guess, like spin out of control in a sense, do like too much of what we love from before and what was working before to its detriment, if you know what I mean. I mean,
it's the Fast and the Furious effect.
Well, and I'm thinking about Fast and Furious a lot because Leitch is, and I loved Hobbs and Shaw, but Fast and Furious is one that is kind of, spun out of control. It's always spun out of control. That's part of the charm of the franchise, but maybe a little too much so in the last movie. But it's hard. It's hard for me at this point in time, given what I've been seeing lately, to not wish that one of my favorite film franchises would go smaller and more intimate compared to like bigger and more, if you know what I mean.
This is why, like, I think that it, like, mentally, I have a very, like, distinct separation between Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. To me, I almost in my head have them separated as two separate franchises. Sorry, I thought I had this muted, but apparently I did not. In my head, I have them separated, and to me, Jurassic Park is the one that is like a little bit more existential, a little bit more thought-provoking about its monster moviness, and Jurassic World is just a little bit more like more action, more like crazy monster stuff.
I mean, yes and no. I do kind of see what you mean. In my mind, the way that I compare, they're one franchise, obviously, but the two sections is that Jurassic World is literally designed to be more. That's the whole idea of the franchise. Like, you stand on the backs of people who understand the science and you use it because it's there and you wield that power without much thought in terms of the ramifications of it. And it's about all these people making the same mistakes in Jurassic Park and then essentially no one learning from them and making even bigger mistakes in the Jurassic World franchise. And I felt like the next stage of that was what I thought that they were teasing with the title Jurassic World. Like, I understand that Jurassic World is a bigger version of Jurassic Park, but then I thought when they were getting into Dominion, they were teeing up like a literal Jurassic Earth. Like, what would it be like if dinosaurs were roaming the earth alongside humans? How would we adjust? And that to me just lent itself to the possibility of really smart, intimate storytelling, perhaps an anthology format where you didn't have to worry about following characters throughout multiple films. You could tell individual stories and how different people in different areas of the world, with different jobs or whatnot, how they would adapt their lives to living alongside dinosaurs. That sounded very interesting to me. And when I thought about the franchise that way, I could think of a number of really exciting directors. And again, respect to David Leitch. I've seen very talented work, very exceptional work from him. So I want to point that out. But, I was thinking about some names that, maybe I was rooting for to get a project like this. And one of the first ones that came to mind is Joe Cornish. Have you seen Attack the Block?
Yeah, I watched it once, I think.
I think that is one of the best alien movies we've gotten in recent years. And I think it just shows signs, as does, oh my God, what's his next movie? The Kid Who Would Be King. I just think that Joe Cornish is someone who has exhibited a skill to, make big blockbuster flashy images, but with like texture to it and a really like earnest heart. And I like that combination. Another person that I've been thinking about a lot is Brian Duffield, who I think is incredibly talented, both on the writing side of things, and now he continues to prove himself as a director. Spontaneous was one of my favorite films of the year that movie came out. And then I also think No One Will Save Us is a great example of how good he is with sci-fi with layers and a narrow focus too. And then, of course, another name I have to throw out is Gina Prince Bythewood, who like excelled with The Woman King and The Old Guard. Like, if you need an example of a director who can, like put character and story first, but also really excel with the action, I think she's a perfect example of someone with the best possible skill set to, make a really rich Jurassic movie. So those are just three names that cross my mind.
I think those are all solid choices. I honestly, it's one of those sort of things where I'm with you. I would very much like to see like maybe a smaller, like lesser known director get a chance, because like to me, big franchises like this, one of the sort of best parts of them is that they're almost like star makers, especially when it comes to things like directors and writers and things of that nature. If you put out like, if you put somebody who's made like one or two movies in the director's chair on a big, franchise film like Jurassic World, and they do a halfway decent job, that's going to, lead to them being able to do other stuff down the line. And I'd like to see that more often, but I'm not as concerned about Leitch directing this movie. I definitely understand your concerns about it maybe going in the direction that I wouldn't have hoped for, but I still think that it'll be, at the very least, a fun movie.
I want it to be more than that. Also, I realized as I was explaining directors that I wanted to see make the movie, I turned No One Will Save You into a sequel, which should definitely use that title I just made up. No One Will Save Us. I would watch a sequel to that movie.
That would be a pretty good one. All in the Game over here was saying that Dan Trachtenberg would have been a great choice.
My God. Dan's a great example here, because literally proof of concept is now that I'm thinking about it, what he did with the Predator franchise is literally what I want to see them do with the Jurassic franchise. I mean, not necessarily go back to that particular time period or anything or play around with it like that. But the idea of like taking the sci-fi entity and turning it into a really contained, intimate story. That there is what I want.
I think that he would do a spectacular job at it, though. I'm going to be a little bit selfish and say that I don't want him to get the chance to do it, because I want him to keep working on Predator movies. Yeah. I want to Prey 2. Whatever that entails, whatever that winds up being. I know there's been some talk about doing let's do like a samurai Predator story, or let's do like a, different Predator in different cultures and different time periods and things of that nature. Just let him do that. Yeah. Like that's where my mind goes with him. So that's
I would be very, very open to that. But, this is where we stand on the new Jurassic movie at this point in time. We still probably have a little ways to go until they start locking things in firmly and revealing more information. But given my obsession, you can bet we're going to cover it a whole lot right here on Collider Dailies. All right.
I mean, it's already come up twice, so it's probably going to come up many more times.
Oh, I will make sure of it, John. Next topic today is Love Lies Bleeding, which just dropped a brand new trailer. John's going to give his thoughts on the trailer, and then I was lucky enough to catch the movie at its premiere screening at Sundance, so I can give you some thoughts on the movie, non-spoiler, of course. John, how do you feel about the trailer?
This movie just looks intense. This is one of those movies that I'll probably spend the entire time watching it, mouth agape, just constantly going, holy crap. Like it seems insane. It seems like one of the grittier films that I've seen in a while, one of the like grimier. We were talking a little bit before the show about how like it seems like almost one of those movies that's almost borderline too like seedy for me, but I am definitely interested in seeing it. And the cast is absolutely insanely stacked, so that alone is gonna get me through the door to watch this movie. I'm at a loss of words. It looks incredible.
I can confirm that your impression of the movie based on the trailer, that you're going to be watching this movie with your jaw on the floor the entire time, is pretty accurate. But I love being able to say this with certainty. Anything you're expecting from this movie, like you have no idea. Because I've been a big fan of Rose Glass since Saint Maud. I've been eagerly awaiting her next movie for quite some time. So I've been following the development of Love Lies Bleeding, and like literally anything I could get my hands on, I'm watching, reading, looking at, you name it. And even then, the movie was so above and beyond what I expected. It's just, it really is. I think in my tweet, I said like a staggeringly wild experience. And that is what it is. Everything it does, like it being, shocking, like super sexy, extremely violent, just absolute like chaos in every single respect. It takes all of those things and it takes them to an 11. Every single time I thought I had an idea of what could happen next or what these characters were capable of, there was something that just blew my mind and far exceeded what I thought they were capable of. And a big part of the reason why it worked really well for me is there's all of these like bonkers big swings, but they're all rooted in pretty much the same driving force. And that driving force is either revenge, ambition, love, or some sort of combination of the three. And I think that keeps it together nice and firmly. I will say though, I am anticipating a very polarized response to this movie. And personally, that's the kind of response to a movie that excites me more. Rather than everyone falling in line and agreeing on everything, I love the idea that this feels like a love it or strongly dislike it movie to me. I enjoyed my first screening of this movie considerably. I had an absolute blast, and it left me very, very eager to see it again because I just absolutely love watching a filmmaker operate with seemingly no restrictions whatsoever. Just being able to like push the creative possibilities to like the absolute limit. And that's what Rose Glass does here. I am very curious to see how I respond to the movie having some sort of foundation, knowing all of the wild that's coming my way, and now being able to sit there and know what I'm in for and be able to look for little like nuance and details that I might have missed the first time around just from the movie, like making my brain explode. So that is where I stand on Love Lies Bleeding after one watch. Fingers crossed the second one happens very soon.
It definitely seems like, it seems like a movie that is going to rustle some jimmies. There are going to be some people who are going to, as you said, it's going to be a love it or hate it sort of thing. And I feel like this is one that's going to be one that is definitely, there are going to be some people who are going to be very, very upset with this film. And I can tell that just by looking at the trailer.
Can I just say, John, I understand someone walking out of this movie and being like, it's not for me. I don't like, if someone's upset by the movie the way that I think you're implying, you know what? That's their problem. Like what is that? What is that? Stop that.
You get what I'm
I get what you're saying. And that like that response would make me quite angry.
Yeah. But it very much seems like the kind of thing that it's gonna I think it's gonna drive some people wild. Just watching that trailer, it's gonna be probably one of those movies that the people who love it are going to like obsessively love it. Like they're gonna be the kind of people who are gonna be coming up to you just randomly in the street and be like, "Have you seen Love Lies Bleeding?"
Yeah.
No, you haven't. I'm walking you to the theater now.
I'm so ready for that. I'm so ready for those conversations. It was definitely one of the ones that I couldn't stop talking about and thinking about while I was at Sundance. And like even right now, watching the trailer they just released, like flooded my brain with all the wild visuals that aren't in that trailer that I'll never forget. Also, I will say just about the trailer, because I said it to you before, couple shots here and there that maybe I wish they had kept out of the trailer, but it's not anything like too hugely spoilery, I guess, but there's like something in particular just caught my eye.
Is it just going to be the kind of thing that like you aren't going to really register it when you're watching the trailer, but as soon as you watch the movie, you're going to go, "Oh, that was a big deal"?
I don't know. I feel like you never know nowadays, because now that it's so easy to analyze every single frame of a trailer on the internet, and people like to do that, I feel like you never know. But there's one shot I would have removed from the trailer. I'll say that. All righty, another trailer. Right now, we are moving on to the trailer for A Quiet Place Day One. John, I'm so excited for this movie. So excited for this movie. How do you feel about the franchise? And are you looking forward to a prequel rather than a third installment that continues the forward progression of the story?
So I will say I absolutely loved the first film. Adored it. It was one of my favorite films of that year. What was that? 2017? 18?
Might be 18.
Something like that. The second one I wasn't as big of a fan of. It was a good movie. I didn't get as like hyped for it, as excited by it as the first one. This trailer though is ticking all the right boxes for me. This looks like something that is going to be absolutely thrilling, absolutely horrifying, and absolutely brilliant all at the same time. And I am here for it.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Except I love both A Quiet Place movies. I thought the second one kept the bar just as high in a very impressive way. Where
It was a good movie. I just,
yeah,
I walked out of it. Maybe it was, maybe it was the fact that the first one was just so like such an interesting premise and such an original idea that when you revisit that idea with the second one that I wasn't as gripped by it because I had already kind of experienced that idea. But I mean, it's a good film. I just wasn't
I
as
hear
big of a
you.
fan.
I find it funny that I'm kind of taking the opposite stance on the A Quiet Place franchise, where the first two movies were fairly intimate and character driven and, focused on small space and experience. But I do think it is time, especially when you saw the beginning in A Quiet Place Part 2, it's time to expand. And I think
Yeah.
there is not that the movie lost its life, because clearly I like the first two movies quite a bit, but I think there's no better way to infuse even more energy and life into this franchise than by taking it back to day one and setting that day one story in a big city. What a like riveting and deeply chilling concept. Based on watching this trailer, my hope that they really did pull this off is that strong characters again first and foremost, but I hope I can explain this properly. Like there's some sort of layering that I see happening where the first two movies were deeply chilling on a small scale, but by well putting you into their situation, just in terms of the tension of needing to stay quiet because these couple of monsters that are in this area could get you. I feel like by going into like this mass invasion in a big city, like having such an intimate relationship with that smaller experience is making like the wider view of it even more terrifying.
It very much feels to me kind of like going from Alien to Aliens, where it's going from this very like small contained idea with like smaller numbers to them just basically going, hey, let's take this idea but more. Like let's just go bigger with it, and putting it in such a large city and having the potential of there being so much just mayhem going on at all times is going to make for, I would assume, what looks like from the trailer is probably going to be one of those films that just does not stop.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for. Hoping for that. Also, like what a cast. Like,
Oh yeah.
oh, and then this is the other thing I wanted to bring up about this one, because I love the idea of franchises like this going the anthology route, where you're not necessarily shackled to the characters who established the franchise at the start. I think having Djimon Hounsou's character be the connector here is really really smart, in a way where it's not necessarily being weighed down by the lore established in previous movies, but it also is connected just enough that I suspect that after seeing A Quiet Place Day 1, I'll be able to go back and watch A Quiet Place Part 2. And now that movie gets a whole new layer because I know the truth of his past, which was hinted at in that movie. But I think it's
Yeah.
a really great way to connect everything here. The only thing, John, that worries me about this trailer, the
All right.
one and only thing, why give Lupita Nyong'o a cat? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you running the risk of having me not focus on all the other things going on in this movie because I am in an absolute panic about the safety of that cat? I mean that as a genuine concern too.
I
I'm
know.
not just trying to be funny. Like it stresses me out. It stresses me out.
And you're not alone in that. Uh pretty obvious prediction here is the cat is going to die. Or she's going to lose the cat. I'm sorry. It just is. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing about Hollywood. If you want to give a hero a pet, but then not kill it, you give them a dog.
What?
Because people are statistically more sympathetic towards dogs than they are cats.
No.
Yes.
Hard no, John.
Hard yes.
I will
kill a cat in a movie and see what people's reaction is. Kill a dog in the same movie and see what people's reaction is. People will be so much more upset over the dead dog.
If someone's heart is broken more by seeing something bad happen to a dog than a cat on screen, that person is just closed-minded and hasn't opened themselves up to the wonderful experience of having a cat. They just don't understand. They just haven't experienced something. So it's just a problem of being closed-minded.
Perri, are you about to declare war on cat people? Or on dog people?
No, because I'm a dog person too. I'm like a both person. I love cats and dogs. I love and really I have this problem with almost any animal in a movie, but like again, because I have my own personal experiences. I am a cat owner, I am a dog owner, I am extra sensitive to anything happening to those types of animals. But here it could be a real issue.
I remember after we watched Dogman at Fantastic Fest, you were talking about how like you were glad that the dogs like all got away.
I mean, that is a real risk I run, where there are certain movies, if something bad happens to a pet and it's not justified or feels necessary to the story, like I can't handle it, and it runs the risk of making me angry too.
Yeah. I could very much see the cat in this film being a plot tool to try to like increase the tension a little bit, because a cat's not going to know to be quiet. So I could see the cat making noise and drawing the aliens and that being like a plot point. I could also potentially see what Mike Joyce pointed out. What if the cats are alien kryptonite?
What I would give for that to be true.
As silly of an idea that is, and we kind of laugh about it a little bit. I could 100% see that being a thing that they do. Or the aliens are scared of the cats or something like that. So basically they're Minecraft creepers. They just don't like cats for whatever reason.
That's my dream outcome.
Or maybe they're allergic to dander or whatever. Or those weird pheromones that the cats let off that make you love them more. Yeah. Something like that. I could see that happening.
I'm absolutely tickled by that idea. I am just going to will that into existence. That's how things are going to pan out for this cat. All right. With that is a wrap on today's edition of Collider Dailies. John, anything you want to promote before we say goodbye?
Same thing as I always do. Premium videos over on collider.com. If you are on the website and you see an article thumbnail that has a little play button in the corner, that means that there is a video element attached to that article. It can be anything ranging from a feature video, which is what I work on most of the time. It could be an interview clip. It could be a clip from a film. Any sort of thing, any sort of video element is going to appear like that on there. So get over there. If you're on collider.com, go ahead and give them a watch. They're always fantastic supplements to whatever article it is that you're reading. So, and I work really hard on it, and I'd like it if people appreciated that work.
Yes. That I'll say go back to the Collider Forces episode with Kelvin Harrison Jr. and Aaron Pierre. It's been up since last weekend. And then this weekend, our brand new episode is going to be with Catherine Newton for Lisa Frankenstein, which I'm very, very excited about.
I am looking forward to that one. I think that's going to be fantastic.
I mean, the review embargo is up, so I can tell you I like the movie quite a bit. I feel like everything that movie is trying to do really well suits my cinematic interests, and also some of the movies from the past that have kind of built the foundation inside me of the movie lover that I was and have grown into. So that movie really worked for me. I'll also take a quick moment to let you know that there's tons of Collider FYC screenings with Landmark coming up in Los Angeles. So if you are in the area and you want to attend, check out the Collider website. There's a whole bunch of posts for a lot of them. So go look at that. The one that I'm moderating is on Sunday with the team behind Perfect Days. So do check that out. I would love to see you there if you're free and you want a little non-football palate cleanser on your Sunday. So hopefully see you there. In the meantime, John and Maggie will see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific. Have a good Wednesday, everyone.